What's going on, YouTube? Got another knife review here for you. This is of the Spyderco ATR Titanium. This is a knife that I would consider kind of the illegitimate child of two of the best locking mechanisms, in my opinion, in the folding knives. You know, the first being the titanium frame lock made by Chris Reeve. And you know, he's the originator, and of course his knives I think are the best implementation of his lock. You know, so titanium frame lock being one of the strongest locks. And people, you know, have done spine wax and all that kind of stuff, and you know, would beg to disagree. But the other knife folding lock mechanism that I really like is the compression lock. You know, made popular especially by the paramilitary 2, and you know, some of the other, there's a lot of Spydercos now that use the compression lock, but you know, when I first got the compression lock or the paramilitary 2, I really liked the knife. I really liked the locking mechanism. I liked the one hand deployment and closing, and just the ease of use and the strength of it as well. And so and of course, you know, with the Sebenza titanium frame lock, for me this is my favorite, by far the favorite locking mechanism on a knife. Just the simple lines, and even just the simplicity of it, you know, the frame being part of the lock, you know, or the lock, if you will. So, you know, and then I have my LFTI, which is an example of frame lock, and then the Three Sisters Forge Beast, which is also, you know, simple, just titanium scales. There's nothing on here, no added, you know, inlays or anything like that. Just a titanium frame lock and the blade. So when I was, you know, when I found out about the Spyderco ATR, I was kind of like, whoa, like having two, you know, knives, and it's not really considered a well, I guess it is. Compression frame lock is what it is. But not frame lock in the sense of like a titanium frame lock. It's a compression lock. And so essentially what you have is compression lock that uses the frame, or purely just the frame. You know, there's no scales that cover it, no G10 that covers it, you know, like you have on the paramilitary 2 here, where these are nested liners in the G10. You know, this is just the frame of the knife that goes in. You can kind of see exactly how this mechanism works, you know, in between the pin, the lock pin, and the tang of the blade here, you know, and it just sits in there. So all the pressure gets placed right there on the lock. You know, again, being titanium, the titanium version, you know, all the scales are full titanium. The blade is S30V. It is a saber ground with, you know, hollow grind here on the primary bevel. You have a swedge here that's cut into the blade with this kind of upsweep in the front, which makes for a very good piercing blade. This knife is designed by Sal Glesser, who's the CEO of Spyderco. You can see his little icon right there. So he has it on a couple of knives, you know, the paramilitary being another one that he designed with his son Eric. It's got a pretty large pivot pin here. It uses T12, I think, Torx bit, and the rest of these I think are T6 pins. One cool thing as well that you can see, hopefully you can see this, right there, there's like a little pin on the lock bar. That's kind of a internal lock bar stabilizer. That it's pretty cool, you know, being that this is a discontinued knife. I think from 2006 is when it was discontinued, or maybe that's when it came out. It's kind of pretty early on, before that was I think before that was, you know, put in production, and so it's pretty intuitive. And you know, basically this lock can't overextend past the frame here, and so you always have a very secure, you know, there's no way to overextend that bar there. I don't even know how they secured it in there, but it's pretty awesome. They milled out, you know, 4 holes on each scale here. They say it's, you know, for indexing. While you're holding the blade, you can tell where your fingers are. They kind of rest on those holes. They're pretty hard cut in there. You know, very sharp edges. Very different from, say, the Benchmade LFTI, and this is pretty much why I brought this one out here. You can see, you know, on these holes, on the LFTI, you know, they're milled out and they have these really nice polished bevels. And I wish the Spyderco had that same feature. It would just be a lot nicer looking, very much more refined. But you know, overall, I think the knife in its own right is very beautiful. Titanium scales, you know, this brush finish is kind of cool. Matches perfect with this pocket clip. I stripped this pocket clip off of another knife because the original clip on here, you know, it's got this little triangle fastening, kind of like the Tenacious. It's kind of like this a little bit, you know, where it secures on here. But the actual pocket clip is this large wide bar with holes that match the holes on the handles, and I just think it's really ugly, and it kind of detracts from the aesthetics of the knife. And I like this one. The finish of this pocket clip is exactly the same finish as the handles, but it's also a deep carry pocket clip. And even though I'm not a huge fan of deep carry pocket clips, this one I think works really well with this knife. So anyway, obviously a flow-through design. It's got 2 standoffs here and here. Then it's got a little tube for a lanyard that you can string through, but you know, my pocket clip is blocking off the other opening for that. It's got 1 screw here for the locking pin, stop pin, and it's shouldered inside the other side of the scale here. So other than that, I think that's pretty much it on this blade. Oh gosh, I forgot about the Cobra hood here. So some people love it, some people hate it. You know, if you can take this off, it's got a Torx screw right there, you can see, and you can take it off. But if you do take it off, then all of a sudden the blade, you know, it's not smooth. There's like a little bit of a cutout on the blade for the Cobra hood to be able to sit on. So if you do take it off, then you kind of mess up with the aesthetics of the knife. I personally like it a lot, actually. This is actually the best purchase that I've gotten on any knife. You know, the jimping is really good, and because the Cobra hood gives you a lot of real estate area for your thumb to rest on, it sits really comfortably. So I would definitely wouldn't want a Cobra hood in every knife, but I think it works fine on this knife. You know, if it didn't have it and the blade was cut normally, I'd probably prefer that actually. You know, but it's kind of cool. It's a cool feature to have. Spyderco has one other knife that utilizes the titanium compression lock or frame lock with the Cobra hood, and that's the titanium Salsa. So that's a smaller knife, also discontinued a couple years back. So anyway, that's my overall impressions of the Spyderco ATR. This is most definitely a keeper for me. I really like this blade. It's a very thin profile, you know, that you can see, and compared to the Simbenza, you know, much thinner. Really sits in the pocket great. Compared to the paramilitary, it's also much thinner, but it doesn't really, you know, detract from the actual grip of the knife. It's actually very comfortable in hand. So yeah, but that's my review of the Spyderco ATR. Let me know what you guys think, and leave your comments down below that way. Alright, thanks for watching, and you guys take care. Bye.